Hi, I'm Julie, and I'm back with episode 6 of transitioning to remote learning and giving you some ideas for how you could be using the resources, our resources that you may already have to move into an online learning platform. And certainly, hopefully, if you don't have them, maybe this sparks for you some ideas for how you could use them. They might fit in perfectly for what you are doing right now, or sparking ideas more generally as well, I hope. So, in this episode, I wanted to share with you another of our activities in our traditional poem props pack. I had shared about Por aquí pasó el caballo, which is really, really fun, as I mentioned, for especially for preschool, but certainly can be used in elementary as well, and works really just perfectly for both live and also a recorded setting as well. And naturally, as we all know, perfect for in-person classes, which I'm sure we will hopefully be returning to at some point, right? So this is another one, as I said, La Gallina Francolina. And as I mentioned before, one of the things that I really, really love about traditional children's poems is that they allow our students to experience authentic children's culture from the target language countries that, of course, we are talking about in our classes. And I think that that's such an authentic experience for our students. It's one of the things that's really, really important to me when I think about culture, is that I'm thinking of ways in which I can have my students not just learn about culture, but experience it, and most specifically children's culture. I want it to match, right? So let me talk about La Gallina Francolina. Originally, a friend of mine from Colombia had shared with me this poem, which is, she also shared was a playground game, and I'm going to show you how to do that in our live setting, just as you could do in the classroom, just as you could do in a recorded session as well. So we have the poem, and it's a very, very simple one. As you can see, this is part of the pack, right? Just the la letra, and it's easy to establish meaning with this one. I sometimes forget when I'm talking about activities and resources that for me the frame is always to do it entirely in the target language, so no English. So I'm constantly thinking about how I'm going to convey that meaning without translating. But certainly you could do some translation if you felt that that was necessary and appropriate for your students. But this is one that is lends itself really, really well to doing minimal translation because it's so concrete. One of the reasons why I chose it. So another one that's absolutely perfect for preschool, but certainly can be done with elementary as well, and it's very fun. So we have La Gallina, okay, and when we're establishing meaning, I'm always, let's say I was teaching this directly, and when I'm establishing meaning, I use little strategies like this one. Es La Gallina Francolina. Su nombre es Francolina. Her name is Francolina. Mi nombre es Señora. Okay, my name is Señora. Su nombre es Francolina. I might pull out some more familiar characters that my kids already know. Okay, su nombre es Francolina. Mi nombre es Señora. Su nombre es Pepita. Right? I might, if I had my Peppa Pig, I would use Peppa Pig. If I had some other characters, I could do that to establish that Francolina means her name, right? So just using that strategy without having to say, hey, her name is Francolina. Okay, La Gallina, clo, clo, clo. And La Gallina Francolina puso nuevo. Okay, mira, la gallina Francolina puso un huevo. Boom. Okay, so you kind of get that idea of like laying the egg, right? Puso un huevo en la cocina. Okay, esta es la cocina. This is part of what comes in the pack, right? So we're using these props as visuals for a remote learning situation. If I was in class, I would use them as visuals, but then I would also be using them as props for kids to be able to get up and move, to perhaps act out the poem, to utilize these in I'm losing the word right now, sorry. The idea being that you would be directing them. So pick up the first, pick up egg number 1, pick up egg number 2, right? Giving them listening comprehension, frightening, activities, right? So you can use the props in a lot of different ways. But in a remote learning setting, I'm going to use them as visuals to establish and convey that meaning, right? So, la gallina francolina puso un huevo, pum, en la cocina. Okay, en la cocina, puso un huevo en la cocina. Now, if I really want to establish la cocina, I would use other visuals such as maybe a picture dictionary. Now, my home life, some of you may know that I also teach Russian. So I do not have my Spanish picture dictionaries here at home, but I do have my Russian ones. So I'm just going to use this. It's fine. To establish la cocina. Okay, esta es la cocina. Okay, and this is a little mini strategy that I like to do. Esta es la cocina. No es la cocina. Esta sí es la cocina. No es la cocina. No, no es la cocina. No, no es la cocina. Sí, es la cocina. No es la cocina. Sí, esta es la cocina. Mira la cocina. La cocina. Bien. Okay, so I'm just using this as a visual, and it's one of these strategies that I use a lot for connecting meaning, where I will say, yes, this is the kitchen. No, no, this is not the kitchen. Yes, this is the kitchen. No, this is not the kitchen. No, this is not the kitchen. No, this is not the kitchen. Yes, this is the kitchen. I can do that as a follow-up as well by now turning it into a yes or no question. Is this the kitchen? Yeah, that's the kitchen. Is this the kitchen? No, no, that's not the kitchen. Is this the kitchen? Yes, this is the kitchen, right? And then you can then also embed the names of these rooms as you go, right? Kids find it really funny when you say, is this the kitchen? I'm like, no, yeah. I don't know why they find it funny, but if you're 4, it makes sense to why it's somewhat funny. So I just, whatever visuals you have available in this remote learning setting, use them. That's the note there. Okay, so we've got that idea. We've established la gallina, francolina, huevo, y la cocina. So here is how the poem would go, just in terms of the words, right? La gallina francolina puso un huevo, pum, en la cocina. Puso uno. Puso 2. Puso 3. Puso 4. Ay, ay, ay. Puso 5. Pum. Puso 6. Oh. Puso 7. Puso 8. This is where it gets really silly. Puso un pan de bizcocho. Ay, 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 qué sorpresa. She lays some bread. So you see also the fun and silliness of the ending, right? Absolutely enjoyable for little kids. It's a lot of fun. So that's the introduction to the poem, right? Now, what's really wonderful about this poem that was shared by my friend from Colombia is that when she was a kid, one of the things that they liked to do with this was to try and say it as quickly as they could, and even to try and say it all from beginning to end in one breath. So you can imagine that that becomes a really fun challenge for little kids, right? And I like to build toward it. I don't think we have to, get right to it. So after they are comfortable, we've learned it a few times, we've practiced it a few times. During the subsequent lesson, I would start issuing the challenge. Let's see if we can go un poquito más rápido, right? So now we're going to say it just a little bit quicker. I love to build instead of just heading straight for, the objective. I don't want to necessarily say, hey, this is what we're going to try and do. We're going to say this as quickly as we can, right? I like to build. That gives them more and more practice, more and more repetition of the same thing, right? So it's going to also be really far more secure, which is fantastic. So then, un poquito más rápido. Un poquito más rápido. We might do that 3 or 4 times before we get to like super fast. But that just really also extends the excitement, extends the surprise, extends the fun for students. And you might be able to do that over the course of a couple of different lessons. One of the things that I think is really important, especially in this remote learning, and certainly we already know this, but just to keep this in mind and why I think this particular poem is so ideal for what we're doing now, is that, when we first closed, I had been kind of having that kind of expectation of, my students need to really practice and learn Spanish. Even though not everyone's showing up, that's the purpose of what I need to be doing. But at the same time, I had this kind of idea at the back of my head, and it's really reflected in the activities that I've been sharing with my students, is that I want it to be fun. And as time has gone on, I've recognized that that's what it all needs to be, right? The learning and the practice will come again when we're back in classroom together. And of course, that will always be embedded in, fun activities. But with this remote learning, I think that especially given we don't always have all of our students showing up, and we have very short amounts of time, that we really, really want to highlight that this is about a fun experience together in the target language, as opposed to this is class. I'm really trying to be sure that from the beginning, and certainly as I'm going along, it's just becoming such a firm conviction for me that the fun piece of it is so important, to really engage kids, to have them just enjoy our time together. I think that's part of the social emotional piece that is so important right now, and we can make that happen with lots of different activities that are authentic and are already out there, and perhaps we're already doing. We just have to kind of like shift our frame a little bit to say, wait, yeah, I can do that. I used to do that, and yeah, I can do that. I just might have to, instead of my kids actually touching the props, now I'm going to use them as visuals, right? The last thing that I want to say is that this is one of the other things that I know a lot of us are doing, and that I think is in some ways best of both worlds, is having both a synchronous piece, that live piece, but also then a follow-up or connected asynchronous activity. And so one of the things that is part of this poem pack is not just the props for when you get back into the classroom or for now in this remote learning, but also I have an activity that you could send home if you are able to do that. And I will say that if for some reason you have students who cannot print, or you're not able to send this home, this is actually a really easy activity that they could recreate off of a visual, like a photograph that you take with instructions, and then they can draw la gallina, the eggs, and the bread, and then connect it all together. So I just think that's important for us to remember. So the idea behind this, of course, as you can see, is la Gallina Francolina, the huevos in numerical order, y el pan de bizcocho, right? And the idea being that they're going to then write the numbers connected to the words, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, y 8. Color la gallina y el pan, and then cut them out into strips. Okay, so you have these like this. Okay, la Gallina Francolina, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, y el pan de bizcocho. And you'll notice that at the bottom of the first 2 strips there is a little extra space, and that is for gluing. So that if we use a little glue stick, right, if they don't have glue, they can use tape. And so you would glue the first 2 strips together, right, so that we have this kind of like linear fashion situation. And then you would do the next one so that all 3 strips are connected. And so it'll be long like this. Okay, I know it's kind of silly, but actually I did that on purpose because then you can see how she's laying them, right? This vertical piece, if they were out like this, it doesn't visually connect to the idea that she's actually laying them. And then kids can retell the poem via this strip, right? La gallina Francolina puso un huevo en la cocina, puso uno, puso dos, puso tres, puso cuatro, puso cinco, puso seis, puso siete, puso ocho, puso un pan de bizcocho. And then they have this at home as a fun visual. And like I said, if for some reason they're not able to print, they could draw it, right? So I will put the link to these poem props in case you don't have them in the comment section. And I hope that this has been inspirational and helpful, useful to you in your classes. And I look forward to the next time. Bye!